I get the honor of introducing our next speaker. Last year, when I introduced him, I said there was a picture over there that said 10-0. Our high school team went 10-0. This year, there's a picture that you can bid on that says back-to-back 10-0. Yeah. And I get to introduce the head coach of those two football teams, Coach Justin Todd.
Good evening. On behalf of the entire Wadsworth football program, I just want to thank everybody for coming out this evening, supporting Grizzly football. You know, this is, over the last 4 years, we've become accustomed to this being our kickoff to football season. And, you know, earlier this week, our youth organization, they started their practices, and tomorrow, our middle school and our high school football teams officially start their practice. So this is something that we look forward to every year. So with that said, real quick, I'm going to put some people in there, or take them out of their comfort zone. I think it's really important that we recognize a few people. I look around and I see a lot of guys that are sacrificing their time for the youth, whether it be at the youth level, the middle school level, or the high school level. So if I could just get all coaches, youth through high school, to stand up real quick, be greatly appreciated so they can receive a round of applause. That's a lot of men who are sacrificing their time, their personal time with their families, and they're giving back to the game that's given them so much. I'd also like to have any current or former Grizzlies stand up. I think something that makes this town so special is the amount of people that come back for Wadsworth football. So if I can get any current or former Grizzlies to please stand up. We do have a couple special guests. There's one young man in particular that was brought to my attention. Flew all the way from Brazil to be here this evening. He graduated in 2014. He was an exchange student named Arthur Castro. He came back for tonight's event. He's visiting over the summer. He was 19 of 20 as a place kicker. Really excited to come back. So I'm not sure where he's at. I've not had the opportunity to meet him. He's back there, so thanks for coming back, Arthur. Appreciate it. I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate. Tonight, very shortly, you're going to get to hear all of our scholarship winners. And, you know, I had an incredible opportunity 3 years ago when we took over this program. You know, you're gonna be introduced to some seniors tonight that were sophomores at that point. And what I have to say about this group, I think it's well known what I feel about this group. I've said that they are the greatest collection of young men in leadership roles that I've ever been around. And that was evident by what they did on the field, what they do in the classroom, and what they do in the community. This football program took another step because of some of the guys that you're gonna meet tonight. And they laid the foundation for a new era of Grizzly football. And with their hard work and dedication, they came away as the winningest class in Wadsworth history. They won more games in one season than any other team in Wadsworth history. And all of these guys are going to go on and they're going to do great things. They're going to give back to their community. I hope I can get them back in Wadsworth so I can coach their kids someday. But we've got a great group of kids that we're going to be talking about here shortly. Going to thank Brian and Rick and the entire Wadsworth Youth Football Board. So, I mean, it's... So this is their 7th year, if you guys have heard, and I'm not going to go over all the details, but I want to tell you that the moment that I came into Wadsworth, these guys completely embraced me. And as a matter of fact, it was leaked a little bit earlier when I had accepted the job and I got a Facebook message from Rick Mooney, and I'll never forget it. And he goes, "Do you mind if I call you?" I said, "Sure, yeah, give me a call." So within like 30 seconds, he's calling me. I can remember, that first conversation. It was really the first conversation outside of administration that I had had with anybody in Wadsworth. And I couldn't believe the passion that I was hearing out of a youth football director. They were having a youth camp that week, and he invited me up. I got to meet him, Brian, and the rest of the board. And it just goes to show you, one thing that I can attest about our youth organization is that it's not a August through November deal for them. It's year round. I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you that there are text messages, phone calls exchanged every single day between me and a member of our youth organization. It is constant. This winter, we held 2 winter youth clinics for our kids in Wadsworth. Our high school coaching staff and our players ran the clinics. We had stuff over the summer. We do spring flag football. We've introduced a new form of progression football. And these guys are 100% on board. The work that they do all year long is amazing. And it's why this youth organization, if it's not the top, it's one of the best in the state of Ohio. And I just got to applaud these guys one more time. A lot of parents in here that are allowing their sons to play football. And I just want to talk about that for a second. And we had a media day earlier, and I think this is really important for all you parents to hear. Because we live in a society now in a lot of places where it would be really easy for your kid to say no to football and you support that. Because football it's really difficult. It gives you a lot. And it'll continue to give you throughout the rest of your life. But in the moment, it's not the most pleasurable thing when you're going through the heat of two-a-days. You're wearing that helmet for the first time. You're getting yelled at. A lot of kids, they choose not to do that. They're going to watch football on Saturdays, Sundays, certainly Fridays. And they'd like to be a part of it, but it's a really difficult thing. And we experience it everywhere. You experience it at the youth level, the middle school level, the high school level. I talk to coaches all the time, and we have kids that we know they should be there, but they can't handle the grind. And parents, the fact that you support your kids, knowing that there's going to be some discomfort, is really commendable. Because you know as well as we all know that the lessons that they learn are going to benefit them down the road. And I really thank you for allowing your kid to have this opportunity and for continuing to push him. It's going to pay off, and I really appreciate that. You know, football is the one sport that you can almost relate to the military. I have the greatest respect for our military. But when you think about football and our military, there's a lot of comparisons. You've got to rely on the guy to your left and your right. You've got to make sure somebody has your back. You're going to be wearing helmets in the heat. You're going to be carrying weight on your shoulders. You're going to get yelled at about the littlest details. The great respect that I have for our military is also the great respect I have for people that play football and that continue to persevere, and the coaches that work those guys. I heard Jim Harbaugh speak a couple months ago, and he said something that really resonated with me. There was a group of high school football players and their parents, and this is what he said, and I thought this was really good. He said, you know, everybody, and we could say the same thing about this room. Everybody in this room has been affected by football in a positive way, or you wouldn't be here. It's affected your life in a positive way. And everybody looked around the room, and we all agreed, yeah, absolutely. And then he also said something, he goes, I've never heard anybody in my life say, I wish I wouldn't have played football. You'll never hear that. And I thought that was really, really true. It was one of the best things I heard him say that night. I've never heard anybody say, I wish I wouldn't have played football. You hear people say all the time, I wish I would have. But you never hear people say, I wish I wouldn't have played football. And so I think it just goes along with everything that you guys are doing, allowing your kids to play and be a part of our program. On your table, or it was on your seat when you came in, there's a cultural blueprint. And it's things that we live by in our program. And I'm just going to go over 3 things real quick, and then I'm going to give it up here. Things that we believe in Wadsworth. The first one's what we believe in. It's called uncommon commitment. Everybody commits to something in their life. But I truly believe that to be a football player and to be a Grizzly football player, you've got to have an uncommon commitment. You've got to be willing to do things that no one else is willing to do. It's the reason why you're successful. It's the reason why people become successful after life. Everybody commits. You get up, you go to a job, that's a commitment. But the way that you attack your job on a daily basis, that's an uncommon commitment. If you do it with everything that you have. And that's what we ask of our guys all year long, an uncommon commitment. The next thing is purposeful preparation. Being prepared for every single moment. We tell our guys all the time, every rep that you take has the ability to move you one step forward or one step behind your opponent. And if everything that you do is purposeful, and you do it to the best of your ability, you're going to gain that advantage. You're going to win that play on Friday night. You're going to win that job down the future. You're going to win that sale in the future. Those are important things that we talk about. And the last thing are 3 E's that take no talent. And this is something I think that all of us can do. The first one is effort. And in our program, effort's a non-negotiable. It's something we talk about all the time. If your effort is great, if your effort is impeccable, then you've got a chance to be a great player for us. The next one is your energy. Are you bringing people along with you? You've heard that before. We talk about energy resonating from people. Does your energy that you bring every day, does it grab a hold of somebody else and pull them with you? Are you going to pull them across that line to be elite? And then how efficient are you? Do you have enthusiasm? To be able to be efficient in everything that you do. You know, the last couple years we've experienced some really good success in Wadsworth, and it's not come without tremendous hard work and sacrifice and an uncommon commitment. And I said it last year, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not going to promise anybody 10-0. That's just not the way that the world works. We are going to do everything that we can to win every single rep that we perform. But the reality is that there are other people working as well. However, I can say something about these group of guys that are sitting back there. You see them all in their jerseys. There's one thing that I know about them. That they will fight for one another until the last whistle. That they will give everything that they've got to make sure that the guy to their left and the guy to their right is successful. If we lose a game this year at some point, it's not going to be because of effort. It's not going to be because of a lack of preparation. Because I can promise you that this group will prepare like no other group we've ever had. They will be ready to play ball. They will represent Wadsworth and the great people around here the right way on Friday nights. I can promise you that. These guys are going to fight for you. They're going to fight for one another. They're going to fight for their community. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock it starts. The chase to become elite begins. And we've done a lot of work up until now. But tomorrow morning it gets really very real, fellas. All this preparation that you've done up to this point, it's on tomorrow. All right? I want to wish everybody a great evening. I want to thank Hanford and Ozzy for coming out, Daryl Taylor for coming out. This is a great event. We appreciate having you in Wadsworth. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys on Friday nights. Go Grizzlies.